Lazav the Multifarious versus the Gitrog monster. And 2 lands in hand along with Grim Monolith and Dark Confident is hopefully going to be pretty good for us. We'll go over the commanders really quick. Lazav the Multifarious is 2 mana for a 1/3. When it enters, we surveil 1. X turns it into a creature with converted mana cost X. That is in our graveyard. And it keeps that ability. Go for the command tower here. We might want to Vampiric Tutor. Or Entomb. Don't know what we want to go for yet. Might just go for something like a Mesmeric Orb or something like that. Or maybe even just a Sol Ring would do us. Yeah, Sol Ring into Grim Monolith might be alright. And Deathrite Shaman is not something we're too... Yeah, we're not too elated to see that. So let's see if we can go... We'll still go for the Sol Ring, I think. Where are we? Sol Ring. And then we can go into Grim Monolith. Or do we want to Dark Confident instead? I think we'll Dark Confident actually. So we'll get down Sol Ring. And then go Dark Confident. And that way we can Grim Monolith next turn and Lazav. If we draw into a land next turn, I suppose we could Traumatize. They can only take one thing out of our graveyard at a time. Probably best to get Lazav down first, in case we want to turn Lazav into something that they could exile. Yeah, we'll go for Lazav before we Traumatize. And they do tap down their Deathrite Shaman, so that's good for us. And I have to assume they're going to throw out a beast here. No, they just untap lands. So they might just be holding up spot removal for Lazav. They might just be assuming that he comes out this turn. We reveal Dismember, which is actually quite nice. Invisible Stalker is also good. Right, let's see if we can get some damage on Garrick. Okay, before the damage goes through, they Grizzly Salvage, so they're not going for spot removal yet. So we'll get that damage off on Garrick, and we will go for... I think we go for Dismember onto this thing. We'll pay the life twice. And then we will go for Lazav, I think. And then I think we're safe to Traumatize next turn. We can go into Grim Monolith and then Traumatize. And we'll definitely keep that on top. Haven't managed to make a land drop this turn, so we can at least get into one next turn instead. Once we get... Yeah, if we can try and empty our hand, which shouldn't be too difficult, we can Grim Monolith, Traumatize, Entomb. Then I don't think there's anything stopping us from a Windfall. That will draw us into some cards. And it'll also get the Invisible Stalker into our graveyard. Problem is, if our opponent gets I think if they discard lots of lands off the Windfall, I think they only get... Actually, I think they get multiple triggers per discarded land in that case. I don't know, I'm not sure how that works. If they only get one card, or if they get multiple ones per land that's discarded, because it's all based off one effect off of the Windfall, so we'll soon find out, I'm sure. Okay, Dark Confidant is going to reveal the Watery Grave that we put on top. We can... Yeah, I don't care if they know about the Verdant Catacombs. So we're going to just play that. They know at least one of the cards that is in our hand now, but it doesn't matter when we have so many cards in hand. And we'll go for Grim Monolith. And then we can Traumatize. Let's see what we get off this. That is not blue mana. There we go. So this is mill half our library, rounded down. So we get 42 cards, I think that is, into our graveyard. We have Viscera, Jace. Well, we don't actually have a whole lot there. Hedron Crab, Lab Maniac, Necrotic Ooze. We don't have the Mirror-Mad Phantasm, so I might actually go for that with Entomb. Yeah, we'll go for Mirror-Mad Phantasm. And then if we want to have Lazav become a copy of the Necrotic Ooze, then we can go for a Lab Maniac win, hopefully. Well, we'll try it. Unfortunately for us, Gitrog can go crazy at a moment's notice, so hopefully it won't occur here. But what we want to do preferably is get the Mirror-Mad Phantasm. Oh, tell a lie. There we go. Mirror-Mad Phantasm is already in the graveyard. I completely missed that. These cards are quite small. Yeah, I don't want to bring it up in a separate window. It would just take over the whole board. Yeah, what we want to do is have Lazav become a copy of the Necrotic Ooze, activate Mirror-Mad Phantasm. So that will be all our mana for next turn. I'm not sure I'll do it all straight away. In fact, yeah, we can't do it all straight away. What will effectively happen then if we activate Necrotic Ooze like that is it will mill our entire library. Then we can use a landfall trigger. So we might have to hold on to this land actually. We can go for the landfall trigger onto Bloodghast. Then we can spend 2 mana to get out Fate Stitcher and Gravecrawler from the graveyard. Sacrifice all 3 to the Dread Return. And that changes things somewhat. Yeah, that does change things, unfortunately. Might mean a Windfall next turn. There's nothing we can do about that. Yeah, so anyway, at least we're only taking 3 damage from the Gitrog monster. Yeah, so what I was saying is, with the Dread Return, you sacrifice those 3 creatures I just mentioned, bring back the Lab Maniac, and then you can use a flashback effect that is in our graveyard, Deep Analysis, to draw cards. That'll only be 2 mana and 3 life. Hopefully we can still afford 3 life. Not going to bring back the Nether Traitor here because we can't actually afford Nether Traitor and Entomb. Okay, Crop Rotation is probably going to get them Urborg. Yep, certainly is. I have to assume everyone knows this already, but Urborg and Cabal Coffers go together really well. Cabal Coffers is 2 and tap, add black for each swamp you control, and Urborg turns all the lands into swamps. So, as it turns out, near enough every land they have is a swamp already, but they can definitely net themselves some mana now, thanks to having Garruk on the field. Might actually have to go for a different type of win. We have Necrotic Ooze and Triskelion in the bin. We might have to just go for Phyrexian Dreadnought instead. Phyrexian Delver, not Phyrexian Dreadnought, Phyrexian Delver. That's an infinite combo for no mana, once we can turn Lazav into Necrotic Ooze, that is. Had they not have board wiped, I would have really liked to have gone for that Lab Maniac win, but needs a must, unfortunately. With them drawing so many cards, they may well have already gotten into some spot removal. I will play the Invisible Stalker just to block the Gitrog. That'll be a really good thing to get into the graveyard. Putrid Imp means that they can just discard lands at will and draw cards that way. We get into Siren Storm Tamer. We'll flash that in, and 4 mana for this thing gets us Lazav the Multifarious. Oh, and we forgot to entomb as well. Oh well. We'll hope that that doesn't bite us. We'll put Urborg on top. And we'll go for Invisible Stalker. Now they have a conundrum where if they swing in, they're going to give us Invisible Stalker. But I imagine they have spot removal again for Lazav. They don't. They're cycling to draw a couple of cards. And they shuffle their library away with Kozilek. Completely different style of Gitrog monster deck than what I play on the channel. Ours is based on getting things into the graveyard and then bringing back bringing back all the lands from our graveyard to the battlefield, or getting things into play based on the number of lands that we have in the graveyard, things like that. Our opponent's clearly going for something completely different. Maybe some kind of combo strategy. Okay, our opponent was taking quite a long time to get things going there. They went for a Cultivate for a couple of forests, I think it was. Yeah, I don't know, I think it might have been a forest and a swamp. And they went for Shriekmaw. They hard cast that for 5 mana, not realising that they couldn't get rid of the Invisible Stalker. They're now swinging in, so we're going to be able to get our Invisible Stalker in the bin, which is exactly what we want. And no, we don't want to do that. We can actually try and get ourselves a win next turn. I think if we go 1, 2, 3... Oh yeah, that's 4 mana for the not the Nether Traitor, the Necrotic Ooze. 1 mana on the Entomb, which we should have done already. And then we draw into Urborg next turn. In this case, why don't we just try and entomb first, make sure that we can actually get this going. Phyrexian Devour, the only brown card in the deck, so it's easy to spot. And then we can go. And then if they have spot removal in response to any of this, we can go for Invisible Stalker and try it next turn. Okay, looks like they've got something, so we might have to wait until next turn to do this. No, they're just looking for something, which bodes well for us. We can pretty much cast anything they draw into, assuming that they draw into any instance. They're paying costs for something now. So it looks like they've got something. They've got Beast Within. In that case, we will instead go for, where are we? Invisible Stalker. And that'll be a couple of mana. So that does slow us down, but it keeps Lazav around. So now we just have to hope that we survive through the next turn. Ah, yeah, I forgot, because it's on the stack. Yeah, of course it works like that. So yeah, that's nice then. That works out well for us. So in that case, we can get the win off now. So we exile the top card of our library. I've shown this combo on the channel before, but if you've never seen it before, we're exiling the top card of our library to get +1/+1 counters onto Necrotic Ooze. That is with the Phyrexian Devourer ability. We get +1/+1 counters equal to the CMC of the card we exile. And then with Triskelion, we can remove all the +1/+1 counters one at a time to deal damage to our opponent. And this is infinite, or it's, well, for as long as we have cards in our library, which we actually only have 34 left. I'm assuming we have a total of 21 CMC left in the library. So we'll get up to the... Well, actually, why don't we just start doing damage to our opponent and maybe show them what we've got here. Anything that they do, we can do this in response. Triskelion is the card that's allowing us to remove +1/+1 counters and deal damage to our opponent. And I will just fast forward this now, and I'll see you when the game's over. Okay, yeah, straight away our opponent has seen what we've got there, so that is an infinite combo for as long as you have cards in your graveyard anyway. And even if your opponent uses spot removal, you can use that in response to the spot removal and just keep going with the combo basically. And as long as you don't allow the removal spell to resolve, you can still get the win off on your opponent. So good game to our opponent. I'm hoping to show you the changes that I've made to the deck with Miramad Phantasm and Laboratory Maniac. We've got a little package there where we can try and get a Lab Maniac win out, but that's a win nevertheless for us. So hope to show you that at some point in the future, but couldn't get it out this time, unfortunately. Hope you enjoyed the game nonetheless. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.